As we mentioned before, the course comes with a total of 9-hour video lessons divided into 8 chapters. Let's give you a brief summary of what each chapter is about. Chapter 1, Theory and Intention. The first chapter is an introduction chapter where NG shows us the 3 types of artwork he usually does: graphic design, mural, pinup, and narrative. In this chapter, he talks a lot about the intention of the artwork, and also he gives tips here and there on how he uses composition, lighting, and motion to convey the idea. Chapter 2, Research Gathering. In Chapter 2, NG shows us his reference board and explains the topic of the illustration he will do throughout the course. He guides us through the different types of references he has in this mood board, such as pose references, intention, composition, and so. Chapter 3, Thumbnailing. The third chapter covers the process of thumbnailing, in other words, composition sketches. NG draws a total of 6 thumbnail sketches and refines the 3 he liked best. Then he eventually chooses the one he will paint. In this chapter, he will voice his thoughts and creative process as he sketches and draws the succubus in various dynamic poses. It is great to see him explore the idea he wants with this painting. He shows us how it's so important to be loose at this point and not jump into details. He insists on how he concentrates on the gesture of the character and the focal point. All in all, a very good chapter, and here the viewers can see how he works on each sketch. Chapter 4, Masking and Value Layout. Moving on, in Chapter 4, NG covers the topic about masking and value layout. He gives us some tips on how a clean masking is super important and how at this point the structure phase is finished. He then moves into value layout when he shows us how he starts adding lining to the illustration. He is always voicing out his thoughts as the demo goes on, which is a very good thing in our opinion. He also gives out tips about how to keep the value layout solid, keeping in mind how it is also affecting composition and the mood of the painting. Chapter 5, Material Rendering. So, now Chapter 5. As the name implies, this chapter concentrates on rendering. NG first starts with the rendering of the hair. He gives a full demo on how he brings his hair to life and gives tips on how to use certain blending modes, such as color dodge, to do so. The second lesson is about rendering the skin, which is actually a chapter that was done before the hair one, but the order here doesn't really matter, so everything is good so far. In the next lesson, he covers how he works on fabrics of her outfit until he eventually covers all the elements of the illustration. All in all, a very detailed demo that goes deeply into each topic, giving useful art tips along the way. This again feels like a workshop, going in deep with each topic while also providing useful information. But the good thing here is that everything is recorded. At the end of this chapter, NG focuses on adding accessories to the character, such as the neck piece, jewelry, and so. Following next, we have a chapter dedicated to lining. First, NG starts working on the background, a very important element of the illustration that would also help him set up the lining of the character and the mood of the overall piece. He works on the tail and the secondary elements of his illustration as he gives us very good tips on composition and lining. Chapter 7, Advanced Detailing. Chapter 7 now centers on detailing and finalizing the illustration. In this chapter, the lecturer goes in deeper with the rendering of the hair, the face, and other elements to highlight even more the focal points of the illustration. A great chapter to see how NG finalizes his work by using a specific reference for the face and so. And finally, we have Chapter 8, Subtle VFX. This chapter is all about final adjustments, subtle changes using adjustment layers in Liquify, and so. The artwork is stunning, and NG even animates it to make it look even more awesome. Here it is.